Hello, it's Don in London, August 2nd, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction. Addiction either to substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol. My behaviour, somewhat all over the place when the addiction really bit hard at the beginning of this decade. And it's now 2009, so it's been a few years of sobriety and a few years of absolute madness. And I wonder how many decades I spent trying to be something I was not. Yeah, it's a bit of a hard reflection to realise that maybe I was distorted in some way, and often we get distorted because we want to be liked or loved, and we want to love people, and we want to have something useful to do. That's what nature and providence gave us, probably, and I think that's what Freud said, but it could have come from any time in any century, to be loved and have something useful to do, or be loving and have something useful to do, or just be and have something useful to do. So my videos are all about recovery and what it's like to be sober just for one day. After all, the spiritual connection for me to life is being in the moment of now, mind, body and breath, or emotionally, spiritually and physically. It's all the same thing in many ways. It's to be able to live in the moment, to experience the now, the power of now, and our choices in the moment based on our wisdom as we learn how to be ourselves. So I guess recovery for me, from addiction to substance behaviour or belief that I needed to please everybody, has changed, and it's changing every single day. So these days I find out a bit more about who I am and what I can be and where my choices are and where I am powerless either over people, places or things. And the one lesson I needed to learn most was I was powerless over alcohol. And if I took a drink, life would get unmanageable, or my imagination and fantasy land would be propelled into the total capacity of my head. So these days I'm just trying a gentle way forward to be recovering from addiction. And what helps me most? Connection to other people, through family, through community, through society. I've collected one or two ailments along the way, so I have professional medical help, and at the same time I have a fellowship I like to be part of, and that's the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I always say I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. I can speak about how it helps me and how I learn to live my life one day at a time. So unique, authentic we are. And the fellowship of AA, thankfully, is full of unique, authentic people trying to make their way on a daily basis. And we're as good as we are on a particular day. So we can't say that AA is consistently X, Y or Z. It's a fellowship of human beings. And human beings are merely making progress one day at a time. So that's why I like it. I can go to a fellowship where people are making progress. They're not in charge. There's no leaders as such, but we take a lead for ourselves on what is right for us, and then we share our experience, strength and hope. And sometimes the wisdom is good from others, and sometimes the wisdom we need let go because it doesn't apply to us. But what I have found is there are 12 steps of action which help me on a daily basis to keep my life going, and that's the 12-step program devised by people and adopted by the fellowship of AA, 12 steps. And it was really the people in AA who came up with them. And they're good life steps. It's all about having the right attitude and being able to change our behaviour to the good of living. So there you go. I don't speak for AA, never will, never can. And at the beginning of every meeting, this is my encouragement, if you like, or also my meditation every day, to remind me of what the fellowship does for me. And this statement is said at the beginning of every meeting here in London, of which there are 700 and some odd per week. So there's quite a lot of people in recovery in London, and quite a lot of people trying to be in recovery, and quite a lot of people who just don't want to know anymore. So we find our path, and sometimes it leads to a good outcome, and sometimes tragically it leads to an ending in addiction. So what is AA? Here's the statement. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. I'll read that one again. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes, and it doesn't oppose or endorse me either. And then the final sentence says, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So there are two sentences of prime importance to me in there. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, which is the tradition 3 out of 12 traditions. And our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, which is encapsulated in the 12 traditions, but especially the 12th tradition and the 12th step of the 12-step action program. So, 12 steps, 12 traditions, 24 things there, and the 12 steps are a basis for living on a daily basis, and they all work in one day. So life experience is the key to live life and find out how life can be. And if we do it with a sober head, we probably remember what has been going on around us on a daily basis, and we can make choices based on that. It's the wisdom learned in experience of doing the 12 steps. So we can recite them ad infinitum, but if we're not living them or putting them into action, they remain covered in dust and probably on a bookshelf in a book somewhere. So what is the fellowship there to do? It's to enable people to make life work, just that. And anonymity is the sanctuary for me to find my truth, and for me truth is spiritual. So I deviate, if you like, from maybe some understandings about how the fellowship works for a person or other people, and that's quite right, because we find our path. We don't have to be slavish or enslaved by principles which don't necessarily help us. And anonymity never helped me. I was never anonymous round here, because when I got through the doors of AA, I found my neighbours, my gym friends from years ago, and my mother's best friend in the front row, who said, "Don, it's about time you got here. Your mother will be pleased." And yeah, that's how it started. I wasn't very good at it to start with, and I'm only making progress on a daily basis. Anyway, daily reflections is something I share here. And it's now August, so the 8th month, the 8th step, which is all about becoming willing to make amends and making a list of people we have harmed. And in this book, August 2nd, it says, we become willing. At the moment we are trying to put our lives in order, but this is not an end in itself. That's from AA's big book, I think the 3rd edition, page 77. How easily I can become misdirected in approaching the 8th step. I wish to be free, somehow transformed by my 6th and 7th step. 6 is all about finding our defects, and 7 is about finding the things we need to do more of. Now, more than ever, I am vulnerable to my own self-interest and hidden agenda. I am careful to remember that self-satisfaction, which sometimes comes through the spoken forgiveness of those I have harmed, is not my true objective. I become willing to make amends, knowing that through this process I am mended and made fit to move forward, to know and desire God's will for me, or good conscience. As I always say, the higher power is what you choose it to be. And some people make fun of it, I don't. Whatever works for a person is absolutely sacrosanct, and as is their anonymity, and I'm very careful on that. I can share about me, but I can't share about you. Anyway, As Bill Sees It, this one, which is extremely useful, and you can read as many pages a day as you like. I'm just going to read out one paragraph from page 164, a saving principle. So far as alcoholics are concerned, AA would go even further. Most of us would declare that without a fearless admission of our defects to another human being, we could not stay sober. It seems plain that the grace of God, or good conscience, or your higher power, will not enter to expel our destructive obsessions until we are willing to try this. And willingness is around humility and learning as we go, that we're just the same size as everybody else, hopefully. And my time is nearly up. Where does it go? It's been a tough day or two, but it's been good, because I've seen the reality of close friends, and I've seen the understanding that is being gained and the wisdom learned. So serenity for me is the prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is always just for today. And I hope it stays that way too, living in the day and in the moment.